What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So we have new polling coming in from Alaska, so we're going to take a look at that polling, and then we're also going to break this down on the Senate map. So let's go ahead and take a look. Here we go. So let's take a look at the poll here, and this is Change Research. This was posted on 8/17/2026. 605 likely voters, and then the margin of error is plus or minus 4%. So the sample size is a little on the small side. Likely voters, we like to see that. Margin of error is at 4%. Usually I like to see it around 3%. But nonetheless, Peltola is at 47%, Sullivan is at 41%, and then other is at 12%. Now, this is inside. This is within that margin of error. However, this is yet another poll that is showing Peltola ahead. So you have Peltola ahead in this poll. You have Peltola ahead in this poll here with 48%. You also have Peltola ahead here at 48%. So out of the last 5 polls, 3 of those polls show Peltola ahead and 2 polls show Sullivan ahead. Now, I don't need to remind you that Sullivan is the incumbent. So the incumbent should have the advantage, but he doesn't have the advantage. Looking at the polling, it's showing that Peltola has more of an advantage than he does when it comes to the polls. Now let's take a look at the prediction market. And so when we look at the prediction market, the Alaska Senate winner, you have the Republican Party at 47%. You have the Democratic Party at 54%. Now, this is very close. Okay, it's much closer. We're talking about probability here, so this is pretty much a coin flip at this point. It's 50-50. But you still have Democrats with a slight advantage there. Now, another interesting wrinkle here, and I've talked about this before, but I want to say it again. When it comes to, and this is the prediction market again, this is Kalshi, when it comes to who will advance, so you have 4 people who will advance to the general. So in the primary, remember Alaska's ranked choice voting, so they're going to have 4 candidates that are going to move forward. So Peltola is at 99%. Dan Sullivan is at 99%. Dustin Darden is at 41%. And then Dan Sullivan, again, is at 61%. And I'll explain that in a second. And then Grayson is at 26%. And so what's interesting about this race is you have 2 Dan Sullivans. This is the incumbent, and it will show incumbent on the ballot, I believe. They're going to put incumbent on there. But you also have another Dan Sullivan who is running. And so it could get confusing because they could be voting for Dan Sullivan thinking he's the incumbent, but it's not the same Dan Sullivan. But you see here, the prediction market has Dan Sullivan actually moving to that next round, moving to the general election out of the 4, which means that that could hurt Sullivan's final numbers. Now, with ranked choice voting, remember you can choose number 1, you can choose number 2. So realistically, if someone wanted to make sure that they were getting Dan Sullivan, they could have Dan Sullivan as number 1, and then number 2 have the other Dan Sullivan. And so if it gets to the point where this Dan Sullivan, not the incumbent Dan Sullivan, doesn't get enough votes, so he doesn't move to the next round, well then those votes, the second choice, if it's Dan Sullivan again, then it goes to the incumbent. And so I have 2 things that I want to show you. First, we're going to look at 270 to win, and I just want to show you what their consensus map looks like. It's changed a little bit. Before, it had Republicans with enough seats to maintain control of the Senate. Now it's changed. Now you have Republicans at 49, which is under what they need. They need 50 in order to maintain control of the Senate. And then you have Democrats and independents at 47. We have 4 seats right now that are considered toss-ups. 4 seats. Okay, you have a seat in Alaska. We're talking about Alaska today. And if you're looking at Peltola, Peltola is running neck and neck with Sullivan, so that's anyone's race at this point. You have a toss-up in Ohio. You have a toss-up in Michigan. This is interesting because you have El Sayed running against Collins. I think the latest 2 polls shows Collins ahead of El Sayed. So that is going to be a very close race because Democrats need to defend Michigan. They need to win Michigan. If they want to have a chance to take back control, El Sayed is going to have to pull it out in Michigan. So you have Michigan as a toss-up, and then you have Maine as a toss-up. Now, we've seen some of the latest polling coming out of Maine. It's showing that Jackson is ahead, but not by very much. And so that's why I think they're considering it a toss-up. It's still within the margin of error when it comes to the polling coming out of Maine. And so now let's break this down and let's run some scenarios based on the information that we have. So right now you have Democrats and independents at 47. You have Republicans at 53. If we are looking at a scenario where let's say Democrats are able to win both North Carolina and Maine. That would put Democrats and independents at 49. These are the two most likely seats for Democrats to pick up because North Carolina right now, Roy Cooper's doing well in the polling, and it is anticipated that Roy Cooper will probably win in North Carolina. When it comes to Maine, we just talked about they're showing it as a toss-up on 270 to win, but Democrats still do have an advantage because this is a state that Harris carried in 2024. So there's Democrats have a good shot at winning in Maine. So if we're looking at a scenario like this, Democrats still need to pick up 2 more seats. That's where Alaska comes into play. If Democrats can win in Alaska, now we have Democrats and independents at 50. You have Republicans at 50. However, 50-50 goes to the vice president. Vice president's a Republican. And so Republicans would maintain control of the Senate. And so Democrats would need to win at least 1 more state. But when we look at this map, things have changed a little bit because now we have, in my opinion, Texas as a toss-up. Now we have Ohio as a toss-up. So you have 2 states where Democrats have a really good shot at winning. And just looking at Texas alone, Tallarico is doing a really good job campaigning. You can't say the same thing for Paxton. And so as we inch closer to the midterm election, we're seeing Tallarico doing things, raising money. We're seeing Paxton struggling to raise money. We don't see Paxton really out there doing a lot of campaigning. I see Tallarico all over the place doing campaigning. And so getting back to our map, you have Texas, you have Ohio, you have Iowa. I think right now, and even in Ohio, the latest polling is showing Sherrod Brown with a nice lead. I mean, I think he was outside of the margin of error in the latest poll. And so let's say Sherrod Brown is able to pull it out in Ohio. So now you have Democrats and independents at 51. You have Republicans at 49. And like I said, when it comes to Texas and Ohio, I think they're very close. They're both very close. Tallarico has a really good shot. I still think Tallarico can win in Texas. And so looking at that scenario, now you have Democrats and independents at 52, and you have Republicans at 48. And that could be the final number that we see. Now I want to know what you guys think. What do you guys think about the Senate map? Do you think Democrats will take back control of the Senate? Do you think Republicans will be able to maintain control of the Senate? Right now, the prediction markets are showing a 50-50, so it's pretty much a coin flip at this point. It wasn't that way 8 months ago. 8 months ago, Republicans had the advantage. But now we're slowly seeing this change. We're slowly seeing some of these states move from a lean Republican to now a toss-up, which is not good news for Republicans. So let me know your thoughts below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more. And remember, stay informed, stay engaged, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye. So that's all we have for this video. Make sure if you guys want to send me an email, you can do that, david@thetecshow.com. Like the video, subscribe for more, and check out these videos over here for some more great content. Talk to you later. Bye.